Hoggie's beer reviews. Hoggie's beer reviews. What's going on, guys? We're back with another one of Hoggie's beer reviews. This is part 2 of the two-parter, the new beers from Anheuser-Busch InBev. Part 1 was Budweiser Black Crown. Even though it's been out, along with this beer, get to it in a second, but both beers have actually been on the market for the last couple weeks, but their big debut is coming in a few days during the Super Bowl 2013. 49ers, Ravens, Anheuser-Busch InBev has spent a lot of money advertising these beers, and that's going to be the big launch for these products. As you can see, this is the other beer in question. This is Beck's Sapphire. Again, I've gotten many requests to review this beer, both of these beers, and we're getting to it before the official launch during the Super Bowl. Now, in case you didn't see part 1, let me give you the quick history again. InBev is an international conglomerate that owns brands, that has bought over time, bought up small breweries and other companies, and now they own Beck's, Stella, and most recently, most notably, Anheuser-Busch. It is now officially Anheuser-Busch InBev. They now own Beck's. And Beck's is now brewed in the United States. Beck's used to be a #1 imported beer, German beer, a German lager. I used to drink a lot of Beck's back in the day before I discovered craft beer. You know, I started drinking as a kid on the streets. I went from malt liquor to stuff like Heineken and Beck's, and now craft beer. Beck's used to be my favorite. It's what I preferred over Heineken. But as of, I think, 2000, I'm thinking 09, 2010, I think it was 2010, something like that. InBev bought Anheuser-Busch, and now Beck's is brewed in the United States in Anheuser-Busch facilities. If you actually buy Beck's, you might actually see that it says, let's see if it says, there you go. Product of USA, Brewery Beck & Co., St. Louis, Missouri. So this is no longer Beck's imported German lager. This is an American product. This is made at and by Budweiser. And much like Bud Light Platinum, which they debuted last year during the Super Bowl, and much like Budweiser Black Crown, the gimmick here to this new Beck's product is the fact that it is 6% alcohol by volume. It says German Sapphire hops. I guess that's where they get the name from, the kind of hops used. Smooth taste. 6% alcohol by volume, very big on the bottles and on every side of the packaging. That's their catch, that's their gimmick. And that's what we're going to find out as far as, we're going to find out if a 6% Beck's, a new Beck's version, is any good. Pry off, okay, good, at least it's still not a twist off. Let's see, does it say anything? Does it say anything? No, no descriptions, no explanations, nothing to read. I usually punch up Beer Advocate or Rate Beer to give you what people are saying about these beers, but it's such a new product to the market that it's not going to have a lot of reviews, so I don't think those numbers are going to mean much right now. And once again, a lot of people still aren't aware of this beer because it hasn't really been promoted or advertised yet. That's coming during the Super Bowl. Although it is a really cool little cap that'll look nice back on the fridge. So, enough talking, let's just get to it. Now, once again, as much as I'm trying to be fair here, I consider this a gimmick because what a coincidence, they debut Bud Light Platinum, 6%, and then Black Crown, 6%, and now this, 6%. Kind of a running gimmick, you know, a higher alcohol beer. You know, if you can't bring them in with flavor and quality, bring them in with alcohol. It'll get you drunk quicker. So anyways, enough of my little ramble there. I don't like gimmicks and I don't like products that are pushed down people's throats, but let's still try to be fair and see what good old Beck's Sapphire is all about. And have here my Tequesta Brewing Company Pilsner glass. See if we can get this thing all in there. Have this guy nice and frosty. And let's take a look at it. What are we talking about here? Pale straw. I'd venture to say this is about the same color as the original Beck's. At least Budweiser Black Crown, it really was a darker, more amber beer. This, poured in the glass, pour them both in a glass, sit them next to each other, and this could pass for regular Becks. Maybe just a little, maybe just a pubic hair darker, but that's about it. White head, frothy, does look good. Take a look at that. A lot of active carbonation there. And it smells like a typical European lager. If you've ever taken a Heineken or a Beck's or something like that, poured it in a glass and smelled it, it's like this. Plain, grainy, not a lot of malt presence whatsoever, not a lot of hops, although I am catching a little bit of grassy almost, kind of a lemongrass and like a fresh cut grass kind of smell. I'm not too familiar with German Sapphire hops, not sure what those smell like or taste like, but I really don't expect this to be a bitter, hoppy beer. Although in all fairness, back when Beck's was still German and I was still drinking it, I preferred it over Heineken because Beck's was more bitter. And I've always been attracted to bitter beers. One of the reasons I love IPAs now. But anyways, enough talking, let's just drink the damn beer. Cheers and thanks for tuning in, guys. Tastes a little odd. Not in a skunky or funky way, but you know, the higher alcohol content of a beer, the more it tends to have kind of a sweetness to it. Because remember, alcohol comes from the sugars. You know, alcohol is sugar. So it does tend to give it kind of a sweet kind of character, sweet kind of note to it. I'm not saying it's a sweet beer, but over a standard Euro lager, there's a bit of an odd sweetness across the middle. Especially towards the end. It's almost a little boozy. Almost. Not a lot of bitterness. It's a dry finish. Lemony, almost. Slightly lemony, dry. Just a tad boozy. You know, with the body this light, there's not a lot of heft, there's not a lot of malt, there's not a lot of complexity and body in this beer to really hold and hide that 6% alcohol. So it really does kind of come across. It's well carbonated. You know, you get a carbonation bite up front. It's got some fizz to it. Relatively refreshing, but bland. You know, bland as far as like basic lagers, European lagers, the Heinekens and the Becks and the Polygirls and the Lowenbraus and all those kinds of beers. This really just barely fits in there. It's bland, it's boring, it's really got nothing going for it. And that little bit of sweetness, that little bit of booziness makes it not the ideal choice for refreshment. You know, summertime, you know, after you just cut the grass, you know, or after a workout, or after, you know, playing ball and you just want to chug something cold and fizzy. That booziness, that sweetness to it detracts. You know, I don't want to chug this. I don't really want to drink this after cutting the grass. This doesn't have a lot to offer. They should have left the original Becks alone. But again, 6%, it'll get you drunk quicker. And that's what they're hoping will attract people. At least that's my opinion. As far as these kinds of beers go, glass half empty. It's not offensive, but you know, and I don't have a lot of respect for Budweiser, you know, Anheuser-Busch InBev, so I really don't want to give it a rating and make it an official kind of rating thing. But yeah, it's a glass half empty. It's really kind of just meh. And once again, that little sweet. If the original Beck's and Bud Light Platinum had a baby, there you go. Then again, if you're into beers like Beck's and Heineken and Budweiser and light beers, then I suggest you try it. You might dig it. You might be able to get into it. I don't recommend it to anybody. My initial impression stands. It's a gimmick. It doesn't have flavor to offer. It doesn't have quality to offer. What it has is 6% alcohol. That's all they really cared about when they made this beer. And you know what? Bud Light Platinum, Budweiser Black Crown, and now this, 3 6% beers. If Anheuser-Busch InBev really wanted to offer 3 new different beers, quality products to the marketplace, the alcohol percentage wouldn't matter. It would just be a good beer. One might be 5.5, one might be 5 even, one could be 6.2. You don't worry about the alcohol. You worry about the recipe. Alcohol is kind of a, after the fact. The fact that they aimed for 6% on all of these, and it may have to do with certain caps in certain counties and certain states in this country that don't allow anything over 6%. I know there are places like that, so that may factor into why they're all 6 across the board. I'm not sure. And I'll just kind of stop throwing stuff out there and rambling on. It's a gimmick. Try it for yourself if you're curious. Your mileage may vary. And with that, I'm out of here. Thanks for tuning in, and remember, it's Hoggie's Beer on Facebook, Twitter, Google+, hoggiesbeer.com coming soon with all my reviews compiled. And just, keep watching, man. There's more stuff down the pipeline. Cheers, guys.